This is Suits, arguably the best show about lawyers that my friend described as attractive people walk into offices and yell at each other. I added that last part.
Looking for another way to make my life miserable? Harvey, no, come on!
I binged it in an amount of time that is honestly a little embarrassing to say out loud, but even though I absolutely loved the show, I think they made one final mistake in the writing that needs to be talked about. So, yeah, let's do that. Suits is a show about Mike Ross and Harvey Dent. No, wait, that is from Batman. I mean Harvey Specter. Harvey Specter. It's a story about Mike who has this really cool, almost like superpower memory, which is really weird, but it's super cool, where he can literally remember anything that is properly processed in his mind. And because of some awkward reasons, meaning he's hiding from the police, he finds himself amongst a bunch of Harvard graduate lawyers that want to become the associate of big-time lawyer Harvey Specter.
I'm just trying to ditch the cops, okay? I don't really care if you let me in or not.
And with one of my favorite scenes of the entire show where he impresses Harvey using his weird memory, Mike gets the job. There's just one thing. Mike never went to Harvard, nor is he actually a lawyer. Actually, all he really is a fraud. For most of the seasons, the show is all about this. Mike and Harvey trying to solve cases while also trying to hide the fact that Mike is a fraud. And it's great! It is super fun, especially around season 5 and season 6 when the stakes get really high. Like this high. But then, what mistake am I talking about? Well, spoilers, obviously. At the end of season 7, there's some noise from Mike and his fiancée, Rachel, about leaving New York. It is a joke at first, but the closer we get to an end, the more it appears to no longer be a joke. The entirety of season 7, Mike is fighting to become a proper lawyer and to finally be able to work at Pearson Hartman, Darby Zane Specter Lit. My god, this show has a name problem. Anyway, all that effort to get what he wants. Work with Harvey and at a company that actually has the means to achieve things. With this, he can actually make a difference and still help the people that really need it. But the moment he has it all, everything he ever wanted, they decide to leave New York.
What?
Now obviously that is not a problem to me, because in the context of the characters it actually makes a lot of sense, even if it's a little stupid. What is a problem, however, to me, is that the final episode of season 7 is the final episode of Mike Ross as the main character. He's apparently in season 9 for a couple episodes, but I've refused to watch further. I'll explain. Also, it's the final episode of Rachel as well, but that makes a lot of sense. You know, Meghan Markle was a little busy getting actually married to a prince. I believe she wasn't allowed to act anymore after that as well. I don't know exactly how it went, but yeah, it kind of made sense. But Mike, the main character from the show Suits, quit. That just blows my mind. I read somewhere that the actor Patrick J. Adams wanted to actually quit the show himself, which is totally fair. I mean, it's his life after all. But then, why did the showrunners not understand that he is the main character? The show is literally about him becoming a lawyer. And later in the show, becoming a better lawyer and helping people. All while working with Harvey, the main character besides Mike. And somehow they decided to continue without the actual main character? This kinda sucked. It definitely sucked. What kind of decision is that? It's like if there was another Harry Potter movie, but Harry Potter wasn't actually in it himself. Fantastic Beasts doesn't count. While I'm on a tangent, by the way, please do not forget to check out my second novel. My new novel came out last month, October 2023. If you're watching this in the future, what's the future like? Please tell me. This is a book about Charlie, a 17-year-old girl who is obsessed with dreams. One day, she has a dream that one of her friends kidnaps, tortures, and possibly even murders her. And she is terrified that that might actually happen. Because, you know, dreams are weird and can somehow predict the future. They are terrifying, but also very cool. And when her girlfriend finally convinces her that it won't happen because dreams are dreams and they're not real, Charlie is finally comfortable enough to live her life again. And you know what? That's when it happens. It happens. It happens. I am super proud of this book. I'm very excited to share it with you. It's a psychological thriller with very, very cool dream sequences. Check it out, link in the description below. Let's continue talking about why Suits is a mess. This whole thing about the main character leaving the show, I wouldn't actually call it a mistake in the writing because, I mean, it isn't. It's not a technical writing problem. It's something that I'm having a problem with. It's a personal problem. Like, obviously, I get that the show turned into something much bigger than just Mike Ross trying to hide the fact that he's a fraud and working with Harvey Specter and trying to get into this relationship with Rachel. That's it. It became much bigger than that, clearly. But also, did it really? I watched one episode of season 8, and you know what? The only part that I actually cared about was when Harvey and Donna talked about Mike no longer being there. It was the only interesting part of the episode to me. I'm sorry, I just don't care about anyone else. I care about them as characters, but not as main characters in a show or a story at all, for that matter. I just think that you cannot take away an essential part of your story, an essential part of what makes the show interesting. In this case, the literal main character, and just trying to move on like you still have something to offer. Again, the characters like Lewis, very fun. It's just not main character stuff, you know? Harvey Specter, great together with Mike, not main character material. If it were to continue like this, we would never get to see Mike use his weird impressive memory again. We would never again get to see Mike and Harvey bicker like two brothers. The whole appeal to the show was just taken away. And again, fair enough. If Patrick J. Adams wanted to leave the show, move on and do something else, that is obviously fine. He's an actor, this is his job, and he wants to move on and do something else. Of course. But why would you continue a story without half of what made the story fun in the first place? And yes, I do think that Rachel and Mike together made up for half of what made it interesting and fun. I just don't quite understand how the show went on for 2 more seasons after they left. But I do know that I think they made a weird decision by keeping it going after all. Season 8 did really well, I've heard, but it just makes no sense to me to continue a show without having the main character in it. No sense. But what do you think? If you've seen the show, what are your thoughts on this whole situation? Let me know in the comments below and, subscribe while you're at it. That sounds like a great idea. But since Mike apparently shows up in season 9 again for a couple of episodes, I might have to watch it. I don't know if I can get myself to sit through the rest though.